You're listening to the Productive, Not Busy podcast, where we show you how to do life and business confident, focused, and with a plan so that you can make more money. Have more free time and less stress. Your host, Wayne Withersby, will uncover actionable hacks, strategies, tips, and insights you can use today to live a better, more productive life. It's time to boost your mindset, confidence, and your attitude. Here's your host, Coach Wayne.
Hey, welcome back. Today we are talking about my new book, The Struggle Survival Guide, Turning Obstacles into Opportunities. So this book is about obstacles. Life is full of obstacles, right? For most people, this is one of the more challenging aspects of life. We set goals with enthusiasm and energetically take action to achieve them. Everything looks great for a while. And then it happens. The setback. We've been stalled out and suddenly have no idea what to do next. Things come to a grinding halt and the world feels like it's coming to an end. But to a particular type, this is the fun part. The obstacles become not so much about stopping points as a challenge, as an opportunity to discover something new about yourself or about the world you live in. Obstacles are what create growth and make life more enjoyable. It's a radical thought, isn't it? So, when I wrote this book, and in this book, you're going to find a survival guide to get through those rough times, the rough patches. We'll start with a look at life and the kinds of obstacles we all face. And we're also going to discover sometimes surprising benefits of obstacles. From there, you'll find ways on how to take obstacles in your life and turn them into opportunities. Are you ready to look at life in a new way, maybe? If so, sit back and relax. You're going to be amazed at just how exciting the whole process can be. See, the dictionary defines the word obstacle as a thing that blocks one's way or prevents or hinders progress. When you hear the word, you might imagine an obstacle course, maybe. Right? As a kid, you probably played on several of those. You might have even created your own with, branches and bricks and rocks and setting up, various challenges in your backyard with your friends or on the playground. Your obstacle course might have involved a series of activities such as running, jumping, hopping, crawling, whatever. You get the picture. If you were ever in the military, maybe you've even trained on the more grown-up versions of these courses by pushing your body to the absolute physical limits to get through to the other side. See, when you're a child, or when a child is confronted with an obstacle course, they never pause to consider the possibility of stopping because they don't know any different. They charge full speed ahead. And when they come to something blocking their progress to the finish line, they look at it as a challenge. See, the obstacle is a puzzle, something to get through or up or over until they are on the other side. See, what's more, every obstacle becomes an opportunity to show off their physical prowess, right? And thinking skills to their peers. It's a way of saying, watch me do this. Hold my beer. What is it about growing up that teaches us obstacles can stop our dreams in their tracks, though? See, as children, when the course becomes difficult, they very rarely walk off after giving up. They might skip an obstacle or go around it, but more often than not, the child comes back later and tries the particular challenge repeatedly until they get it. They might watch their friends go at it to see how they got through it. And they might ask for help to get around it. Who knows? Doing naturally what we have to do to learn as adults. In the adult world, though, obstacles aren't always so clear-cut, right? They take on many forms and seem to be absolutely everywhere. At some point, we get burned out from trying or overwhelmed with the sheer work involved in getting through or over or around the obstacle and eager to take the excuse to just walk away. Obstacles look like too much work, and regardless of the payoff, we're just no longer interested in pushing through. So see if any of this sounds familiar to you. Your boss asks for a project to be on his desk by the end of the day, but a meeting was just called regarding a different matter, and you're short on time as it is, but skipping the meeting is going to let your team down. Or you've been asked over to a friend's house on Saturday, and it sounds awesome, but you need a dish to share with everybody. Your kids have soccer in the morning, you don't have enough time to go to the store, much less make something. So you're seriously considering just not going. See, most of our challenges come when we feel like we don't have enough resources or enough time to do the things that we want to do and also need to do. Frustration builds, especially when we get stuck in the cycle of trying to please everybody and everyone all the time. Forgetting our goals are just as legitimate and, yes, necessary as everyone else's. There was a study where participants were asked to list challenges they faced regularly. They came up with these items, okay, not in any particular order: tension at work, worry in health, not getting it right, not enough hours in the day, problems with the boss or coworkers, lack of funds to cover the basic needs, demands from children, being overcommitted, lack of energy, needing to be in two places at one time. Does any of that sound familiar? Well, chances are you can probably come up with an additional item or two that's bothering you right now as we sit here. So to understand obstacles better, we classify them into three categories: external obstacles, internal obstacles, and habitual obstacles. So I'm going to take a look at each one of those in more detail. Okay. The first one is external obstacles. There are things that come at us that are outside of our control. They are natural disasters, economy, right? Inflation, financial, all that good stuff, catastrophic health issues, your physical limitations, and the people around you, like your boss, coworker, family, friends. Well, me might feel odd to group your family or coworkers in as an obstacle. Whenever someone makes a demand upon your energy or your time, they can be perceived as such, especially if they're not the type of person to take no for an answer. Your boss is a great example for that, because not only can they make rigorous demands of you, sometimes unreasonable, but you might feel you're not in a position to exert your own control in the situation. Note that under health. What's being referred to here as catastrophic health issues. This only relates to the things outside of your control, such as an accident that it wasn't your fault or a diagnosis that comes out of nowhere. Other health concerns will be addressed in just a few seconds. Next, we have internal obstacles. Sometimes what's blocking us comes from within. What makes these hurdles particularly interesting is the fact that we have some measure of control over them. This doesn't mean winning out over these particular challenges is necessary to keep going and that it's going to make things easy. We truly are on our own worst enemies, and frequently these challenges come with a lot of baggage and even more work it takes to deal with them. So those obstacles are like financial challenges, not having enough money or for your wants or needs, handling unexpected expenses, maybe a conflict at work, difficulty in moving up the corporate ladder, dissatisfaction with your job, right? Not feeling fulfilled. Health issues that we have control over, such as weight problem, depression, etc. And then relationship issues, maybe a difficult spouse or parenting challenges, right? Again, while these various challenges might seem unsurmountable, they aren't. Your financial issues might be able to be addressed by adjusting spending, finding a new job, or even filing for bankruptcy if things are just to the desperate. I'm not advocating that, but that's why that exists. Conflicts at work can generally be worked through, or in the worst case scenario, you might find it's time to move on to another position or another company entirely. See, listing health issues here makes it sound like it's your fault for being ill. That's not the case. Even recognizing that your genetics play a role in things like diabetes, heart disease, weight issues, you have to acknowledge that the challenges associated with these health issues are something you can work on. In the end, even something like depression, which can feel wildly out of your control, becomes a challenge you can do something about. Now, whether you pursue the therapy, medication, or a combination of both, for those reasons, These kinds of health issues are listed as an internal obstacle rather than an external obstacle. All right, next we're going to talk about habitual obstacles. These are those obstacles you wind up confronting repeatedly. Are you a procrastinator? Are you having difficulty in managing your emotions when you're around your ex? Or do you get into confrontations with people or your boss all the time? See, habitual obstacles are particularly nasty ones to weed out, simply because they're so ingrained into your psyche. While most of these things might be considered internal obstacles, they're addressed somewhat differently because there's a component here requiring the breaking of an old habit and adopting a new one. So where does this leave us? Well, by now it's fairly obvious that we're all facing a number of obstacles in our lives, including myself. Some of these are decidedly out of your control, but most of them are things that we can do something about. It's the doing something that feels weird or daunting, right? Well, and going back to the example of the child running the obstacle course, the reason the child runs it straight forward is they're eager for the reward. To them, this is everything. In defeating the task laid out before them, the child feels a sense of accomplishment, the way we do. They prove something to themselves and to their peers. In running the obstacle course, they have become stronger and feel more capable. In turn, they feel fulfilled. So in the next chapter, we're going to look at the benefits of the obstacles you're facing as an adult. You might be surprised to find the rewards you're seeking aren't really all that different than the things that you sought out when you were a child. And the obstacle course you conquered was one of your own making, really. So we're going to talk about the benefits of obstacles. If you've ever been, or if you've ever seen a baby chick, right, trying to hatch out of an egg, well, if you're like me, your first instinct is you might want to help them because it looks difficult and hard and you feel terrible. The process is like incredibly slow and it starts with maybe just a little bit of tapping from the inside, the edge of the egg, right? But eventually you see a crack and then a tiny hole. Well, you might catch a glimpse of the beak, like desperately working at the shell, and then parted in periods of rest between the taps, right? That might make you anxious. Well, you think to yourself that nature has done something terribly wrong here. The process is laborious and the bird is just this tiny little thing frantically trying to, make it out of the egg to live. Well, with this thought in mind, you might reach out and break open the shell and find out that the bird is just going to die. Did you know that? What we don't always realize is the benefit of the obstacle. In the case of the baby chick, the very act of hatching is what stirs the blood within the chest of the bird. The process of tapping, of fighting to get free, is what builds the strength throughout the baby chick. And that's how they survive outside the shell. Without the struggle, the bird will never force enough air through its lungs and enough blood to its brain or raise its heart rate enough to survive once it's outside the egg. So likewise, obstacles are what helps us grow. If life were easy all the time, we'd never reach our best selves. Obstacles make us stronger, teach us lessons, and make us more persistent. So listen to the rest of this and find out some of the benefits of obstructions and how you can use them to reach your fullest potential. See, obstacles teach us things that we didn't wouldn't have known otherwise. When we meet with an obstacle, our reaction tells the world about who we really are. It's here where we're seen as either our best or our worst. Are you courageous? Do you have a steel backbone? Or do you hide when confronted with trouble? Do you run away? Do you make excuses? Do you blame other people? These are sometimes hard truths about what we can learn about what happens to us when we're put to the test. Here we either prove our mettle or we learn where we need work. Had we never been challenged, we would never have had the opportunity to know where we stand at the moment, where we really are. We figure out the important stuff. Once we've learned these truths about ourselves, we know what needs work. Feeling like we're not very brave? Do you cringe away from the confrontation, obstacles, or what's going to give you the skills to create better version of yourself? Nothing teaches patience like an opportunity to the patient. Nothing will instruct you in bravery better than the moment you need to stand up to what scares you. These are the important pieces of what we are inside. Without the obstacles, you never would have had the opportunity to work on these things. See, obstacles teach us persistence. We learn very little things going along when things go super smooth. If the first effort yields the results we want right away, there's never any cause for us to ever try it again. We start thinking everything should involve immediate gratification, and that nothing should take any kind of personal effort. Obstacles teach us how to try again, and then they teach us how to try after that, and after that. When we have to expand the effort to get past the blockage, we find ourselves learning how to become diligent in our efforts. We learn nothing comes without a cost, nor should everything just be given to us. We learn the value of hard work. Obstacles teach us the value of exceptional work ethic and how to keep going when things get tough. Those are the people I want to hang out with. We become more creative, right? In setting goals and expectations, we frequently set out a path we'd like to follow. While a roadmap is a great thing to have, the occasional obstacle has a way of really forcing us to be flexible. It's these obstacles that teach us how to be more creative in our approach. So by being forced to think outside the box, we do exercise portions of our brain we might not be using all the time or as often as we'd like. We become more inclined to have brilliant ideas and put things forward and towards together in ways that we wouldn't usually do it. We consider these new alternatives and explore roads we might never have gone down before. Without obstacles, we'd never be near so creative, nor would we travel to such exciting places. We learn about what's important. It's really hard to see the forest from the trees sometimes. When we've been working toward a goal for a long time, sometimes we start to forget what we were working for or the goal itself or expectation because it becomes out of date or uninteresting. We might not even be all that interested in that anymore, but we're pressing on more because it's there than anything else. When challenges through an obstacle, we very often are given a chance to reevaluate just how important these goals are. If we find that we're really not interested in fighting for these things anymore, then it becomes much easier to just stop. Obstacles we're ready to challenge is the one standing in front of what we really want without hindrance. We'd never have the opportunity to find out just what's worth fighting for. Obstacles force us to narrow our focus. Where's your focus at normally? More often than not, we have our eyes on the prize. The goal becomes the most critical thing in our lives. And we stop paying attention to the journey and getting there. Obstacles bring our focus in closer. When we're forced to stop, we're likewise forced to examine what the very next step is and the actions after that. We learn how to pay really close attention to what we're doing and to narrow our focus down to the here and now and what needs to happen next. This is where we learn the art of savoring the moment. Without obstacles, we frequently lose this focus. And in doing so, we lose out on the lessons that are learned in honing in on the details and exploring what's right in front of us. We learn gratitude. Are we truly thankful for what comes easily? When we have to fight for what we have, and every accomplishment is an arduous journey taking profound effort, we come to really appreciate what we have when it's all over. We learn the absolute gratitude that comes from pushing the envelope and having to earn what we have. The lessons don't stop there, though. We start to appreciate the effort of those around us. We understand their struggles better and we have more compassion for what we're going through. We're more grateful when they choose to make us a part of their journey and appreciate these gifts that they have to share with us. Gratitude makes us a better people in soul edifying way we would never know had the obstacles not allowed us to learn a lesson. So obstacles make us stronger. In order to build any muscle, we have to use it. Go ask a bodybuilder, and he will tell you how the process of changing your body to be stronger requires not just effort, but pain. The same thing happens when we meet with an obstacle. When we meet an obstacle and dig deep to surpass it, it becomes more stable emotionally. We gain mental agility. We become stronger in ways we never thought possible. Even our physical bodies benefit from the hard work of growing as an individual, or as we become sure of ourselves. We start sleeping better. We take better care of ourselves, right? In short, there isn't a part of our body or our mind that doesn't see a direct benefit from the fight to succeed. Obstacles give us the opportunity to create a better version of ourselves. Obstacles encourage us to see outside themselves. How often do we think about what we can give back to the world? When we are confronted with obstacles, we're given the opportunity to just learn something new for our own sake, but we take that lesson and the challenges that provides us and use them to teach others what we did. When we allow others to benefit from our experience, we become mentors and enrich the lives of those around us. What would feel better than that? Obstacles enable us to give back to the communities and our community and to make the world a better place. Obstacles help us find the meaning in what we do. While challenging is something daunting, our perception of the obstacle is where we find the deepest truth. This is the challenging concept. Obstacles, especially those that wind up stopping us entirely, feel so much like failures on the surface, but they're not. We tend to get caught up in our emotions and always see where this particular struggle held anything useful at all. It's when we take the focus off the failure and ask ourselves, what is good in this moment, that we can discover the meaning behind and what we're going through. When this happens, the obstacle becomes the opportunity to discover the true meaning and the purpose of what we're doing. That's why obstacles bring sometimes the sweetest rewards. The object we earn from doing an easy task versus the object we earn by the sweat of our brow, right, just feels different. Pushing through an obstacle to the goal makes the accomplishment that comes from getting there the most awe-inspiring, sweetest moments. These are the rewards we would cherish. Without the barrier, we'd never have the opportunity to experience victory in the purest form. We discover our inner peace this way. It's the external obstacles that really flatten us. When the world is spiraling out of control and we feel like we can no longer stand up for the winds that are blowing against us, we eventually have to learn to just let go. We have accomplished these things. This is the moment we have attained inner peace. Obstacles are an opportunity to embrace humility and to let go of things we have no control over. In turn, freeing of us to focus on things we can change. Obstacles show us how to change for the better. With any obstacle, internal or external, we're given a chance to assess how we feel about the world. In these moments, we're forced to stop so that we can take stock and re-examine who we are. Typically, it's the significant obstacles like health diagnosis that inspires these kinds of soul searching. However, anytime we're challenged by something difficult, we have the opportunity to examine our lives and to decide whether we're happy with what we're doing and where we're going. More than just deciding whether or not to continue on our current path, it allows us to determine whether we like the person or while we're on that path. It also allows us to choose whether on that path is benefiting us or keeping us from something substantial. Obstacles give us the opportunity to change, not just what we're doing, but who we are inside. We are better prepared for the future when this happens. See, in the end, obstacles teach us how to face other hurdles. As we travel through life, this is going to be a reoccurring theme, I promise. There will come a time when you'll be forced to confront the most profound obstacles of all time. The ones connected with your humanity, your morality, even your mortality. The methods you've used to face other barriers become your teachers on how to proceed into these next important phases of your life. Obstacles always prepare you for the future, regardless of where you're going. When this happens, even death cannot frighten you anymore. There's so many benefits. You can see how obstacles are not just something to endure, but are in fact something to embrace. Your best self awaits when you take on obstacles head on. So now comes the time to turn obstacles into opportunities. What does that look like? Well, here's where you're going to put the rubber to the road. So by now you figured out that the obstacles in your life might have some benefit to you. You might even be ready to embrace these challenges. If so, that's awesome. If not, maybe this next chapter will help you turn the obstacles in your life into an opportunity. See, below are several tips to help you get started. By no means is this a definitive list now. So as you listen, if you come up with your own ideas, be sure to jot them down. After a while, you're going to find out opportunities are everywhere. When you reach this point, the world will never be the same. Decide what kinds of experiences you want to have. Before you can do anything else, you have to start with your own attitude. By making a conscious decision to embrace the challenge, you're readying yourself mentally for a positive experience. Now you're ready to seize that opportunity. Next, you want to look at what's the reality. Don't flinch from obstacles. Burying your head in the sand isn't going to get you past that point, nor will it allow you to see the opportunity as the present and how it presents itself. Take a long, hard look until you have a clear picture of exactly what you're facing right now. Just what kind of obstacles are you looking at and how extensive is it? What were the actions that led to it? Only by a close examination will you find the opportunities that are buried inside of that situation. That's why you got to stay in the moment. So at this point, it becomes very, very easy to wallow in the past. So while understanding the root cause is important, spending time trying to assign blame or figure out all the should haves is going to do something more than stall you out and make you feel terrible. Here's where it becomes essential to look at where you are right now and what task is waiting for you right now in front of you. What opportunity is staring you in the face that you might not have seen if you kept looking backwards? And don't panic. Lose the panic. When the obstacle first hits, the last thing you have time for is panic. Keeping a cool head while enabling you to find the action that you need to lend itself to the opportunity. That's not to say that you won't experience a slew of emotions and a lot of thoughts coming at you at one time. You're just going to allow them to dictate your actions if you do that. So acknowledge what you're feeling. It's okay. Even the bad emotions serve a purpose. Never deny what you're feeling. There's nothing worse than drowning your emotions or pretending they don't exist. Everything is part of life's experience. So whatever the obstacle is brought up, remind yourself this is all part of the whole picture. Part of discovering the opportunities before you lies in being able to see them clearly. You don't have to do that if you're pretending what makes up part of the obstacle isn't even there. Then you need to step back. That's not to say you shouldn't know when to keep your distance. Once those emotions are acknowledged, it's time to let them go. Wallowing in them only is going to keep you from being able to move forward. So once you have a clear head, you're going to be able to act. The opportunity will come clear, and you'll have a better idea of what needs to happen next. What comes next is you need to change your perspective. Stepping back leads right into the next item on the list. A shift in how you're viewing the obstacle. If you're still having trouble or problems with being able to detach, here's where the ability to see things from the perspective of someone else becomes especially valuable. So ask yourself how an outsider would see this obstacle. How would they react? When all else fails, it's time to go straight to the source. The mentor will be able to answer the question you've just put to yourself in much more detail. They have the advantage of having been there, done that, and can offer their wisdom and knowledge. They see the opportunities because they've seen them before and likely even help you plan your attack for pursuing them. Now, it's not just the Boy Scouts who need to be prepared, right? It's simple to manage an obstacle when you lack what you need to move forward. You need to require any resources? Is there resources you don't have? Or do you even have to carve out some time to address the opportunities as they present themselves? Nothing worthwhile happens quickly. Obstacles very likely come as a result of something that's been building up over time, right? The process of unraveling it is likewise going to take a certain amount of effort. Give yourself time enough to work through what needs to be done. Also, keep in mind it's easier to seize the opportunities when you just got the time to explore them as they come. Too often, an opportunity is brushed aside simply because there wasn't room on the schedule or the table to take advantage of it. Obstacles will find and define the world for you. They start with the word failure, right? And go into impossible and every other negative variation in between. In order to get your head back in the game, you need to start with changing the definition from the word obstacle on out. Think instead opportunity, learning, learning experience, and possible. Use those words instead. Focus on the can rather than the can'ts. There's nothing more pointless than wasting time on what can't be done. If you've already proven the path you were trying to take is dead and it's a dead end, it's time to start by asking what can happen here instead. This is much like the changing the definition in the previous paragraph we just talked about. Remember, when you ask this question, you start seeing the possibility rather than the roadblock. This is truly where an obstacle becomes an opportunity. Now, accept some things are going to be uncomfortable, without a doubt. By their very nature, obstacles make us uncomfortable. The sooner you accept this as a simple fact of your life, the quicker you'll be able to focus on what needs to be done. Opportunity is never going to wait for you to be ready for it, I promise. You need to be and choose to be prepared just as you are. I want you to be smart and not hopeful. There's a difference. A smart goal is one that's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. Hope tends to want solutions without a plan. That's utopia. That doesn't exist. Being smart enables you to act when faced with obstacles, which leads to a positive action and opportunity you might not have had otherwise. Even with mentors, the obstacles you face might seem pretty intimidating, okay? A support system is there to be your cheerleader, your sounding board, and the company for the road, right? Your road trip partner. They'll help you to spot the opportunities and be there for you to put the work in required to seize that opportunity and get that success. To avoid making the mistakes of doing the first thing that occurs to you and acting against the obstacle, make a list of every possible course of action and then evaluate your choices. Ask what the highest probability of success, just like a football coach or a baseball coach. And that will lead to the clearest opportunity. Then act before the opportunity slips away. Make sure you ask lots of questions. Still not sure? It might B, you need to be asking more questions before you make an adequate list of options. Sometimes the hardest thing is knowing what you don't know. Explore the gaps in your knowledge. Write the questions, and when you're done, write down more questions for those questions. When you're finished, go hunting for the answers. You'll be surprised at how many opportunities you'll see just following this simple process. When you've gathered information, it's time to put it together to find the solution, hopefully some new opportunities. Here's where you're going to want to apply both critical and creative thinking skills. Use the power of the brainstorming sessions with your mentors or your peers. Consider even the silly solutions. You'll be amazed at what's going to spark those, the best ideas, especially. Don't overcomplicate things. I don't know if you've ever seen one, but have you ever seen the Rube Goldberg machine? This is a device whose main goal is to make straightforward tasks as complicated as possible, usually through some ridiculously outlandish means, okay? While most people don't quite go that far in dealing with obstacles, we tend to overcomplicate things when we don't need to. Look for the simple solutions and the obvious opportunities. Sometimes you just need to take a step back and look what's right in front of you. If you're still not sure what actions to take, experiment to see what works. Opportunity is found in unexpected places sometimes. This is kind of like exploration, right? Exploration has a way of leading you in directions you might never have anticipated otherwise. The point here is to move past the obstacle in any way possible. Remember, if you fail, that's your first success because you started. You've learned something new from the experience. Realize the detours aren't dead ends. While most obstacles can look pretty daunting at the first glance, you'll rarely find one that stops the process entirely. Think of them as detours rather than dead ends. Just because you're there doesn't mean your journey's over. Even if the action might stop at this point, you still have the opportunity waiting to be explored. And you might anticipate a disaster. Okay, what can go wrong? And then figure it out. Obstacles come when you're not prepared for the outcome. By asking yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen, you can get prepared for the obstacle that lies ahead. And if you're already blocked, use the knowledge gained from the roadblock to, prepare for the next one. And remember, there's no rule book. There's the old way, and then there's the way that's going to work. And when obstacles arise, it's time to quit doing the same old thing. Right? After all, the definition of insanity is what? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. This is the time to be bold and taking innovative action. Opportunities thrive in this environment. Now, while you already know a positive attitude is going to help you see things and obstacles as opportunities, a negative one will blind you to the possibilities now, I promise. When you get caught up in this assigning blame or negativity, you're never going to see past where you are. Seeking sympathy is just as bad because it contains a component of dwelling in the past that entirely crushes forward momentum in motion. With this in mind, decide at the start on a positive outlook and don't allow negative to even take a foothold. So, like in the world of writing and writing books, I found there's a phrase where an author might be asked to kill their darlings. It happened to me. What this refers to isn't cold-blooded murder like it sounds, right? But rather the removal of favorite pet phrases. This happens when that perfectly crafted sentence is found to have no place in the story. This also happens in chasing any kind of goal. We get caught up in certain details that turn out to be roadblocks later on, keeping us from getting to that success. So at these junctures, the only option you have is to let go of what's holding you back. It's never easy. And in fact, it sucks. It can be quite painful sometimes. But when you realize that's what's keeping them and what that is and what blocks the opportunity, waiting on the other side of the obstacle, it becomes a lot easier to let them go. And don't forget to be grateful. Express gratitude. So often the obstacle is so overwhelming, we forget to be thankful for the opportunity we've been given. Now, silly as that sounds, expressing this gratitude creates a shift towards the opportunity thinking versus obstacle thinking. Protect your relationships. Roadblocks have a way of eating up all your time. Don't create new obstacles in your relationships while dealing with the problems that have cropped up and meeting other goals that you have. Take time from time to time to enjoy the opportunity to spend time with those that mean the most to you. These obstacles will be there when you get back, I promise. I have a favorite saying. Sit back, relax, and breathe. Or smile and breathe. We're wired for one of three responses in a crisis, right? The first one is flight. The second one is fight. And the third one is to freeze up. We do this when we hit up obstacles. If you found yourself frozen in an activity, it's time to take a deep breath and regain control over the situation. Once you've worked through the problem using other tips from this section, it's time to take the last step. What is that? It's action. Intentions are well and good, but the success and opportunity only come to those who take action. In the end, the final lesson can be summed up in a single word, really. Obstacles allow us to grow. Here's where you discover courage and self-confidence. You cultivate the qualities that you admire most in other people, about commitment, resilience, and optimism. You gain discipline and learn lessons you'd never learn anywhere else. The key here, an attitude of being ready to become more than what you've thought possible, and the ability to see the opportunity in the obstacle. You're ready to move forward, man. And life looks pretty damn good and amazing from there. So by flipping the negative into a positive, you're rewriting the script. No longer are obstacles something to be feared. You're ready to embrace the challenges that life holds, paving the way for new growth and possibilities. So hopefully by now you've learned not only how to survive life's struggles, but how to thrive in them as well. Obstacles have become opportunities. You're moving forward instead of feeling stalled out, and you see the possibilities life has in store for you. So remember, whether you meet with eventual success or whether you come to the realization that the goal wasn't viable, and accepting the outcome frees you up for the next adventure. Even the football player who fumbles the ball at some point is going to have to quit rehashing that play over and over in his head if he ever intends to get back into the game. Here comes a time to go to the past or win or lose and see what the future has in store. Here's the opportunity shining at its brightest, just waiting for you to close the book on the old story so that you can begin the new. Will it work? And will it be hard work? Of course it is. It's going to be hard. But as you've already found out, truly worthwhile things are not and will not come without occasional obstacles. The difference here lies in you. With a fresh attitude and a positive outlook, you're stronger and more capable than you've ever been. You're ready for the next obstacle and are prepared to turn it upside down. So a new opportunity has been born. You guys have a great day. Be safe. Take care. Sell a bunch and tell somebody something nice.
You've been listening to the Productive, Not Busy podcast. Please hit the subscribe and notification of new episodes button and visit us on social media like Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok for bonus content.